Craftsmanship is an abstract thing. A few people take a gander at current craftsmanship and see a heap of garbage, while others gaze at a heap of garbage and see significance. Perhaps the greatest misconception about workmanship history is that there has been a consistent movement from crude craftsmanship to some degree of flawlessness it came to as of late. Truth be told, it isn't that individuals in the past couldn't cause craftsmanship similarly to do, it's that they decided to follow styles that they discovered generally wonderful and moving. Here are 10 of the antiquated world's most stunning styles. Venus. The old Roman goddess Venus was the exemplification of adoration and sexuality. Her sculptures from the classical age are accordingly illustrative of what artists of the time discovered generally alluring. In the event that the gathering of models known as Venus puppets additionally show romanticized womanhood, at that point generalized thoughts of excellence have changed throughout the long term. The Venus puppets will in general show hefty ladies with larger than usual bosoms, sufficient hips, and enormous posterior. Now and again their reproductive organs are comparably underscored. The most punctual of these puppets, the Venus of Hohlfels, was cut from a mammoth tusk and dates from around 35,000 years back. Different puppets are made of stone or clay, and most are generally little in size. This recommends that the Venus figures were intended to be hefted around with the individuals who claimed them. Nobody can say precisely what the around 200 Venus puppets speak to. Is it safe to say that they were a mother goddess? Is it safe to say that they were ripeness icons? Is it safe to say that they were essentially figures of excellence and security? It is improbable that we will actually know without a doubt. Roman frescoes. Romans encircle themselves with craftsmanship, from little sculptures of their divine beings to amazing figures, to spray painting scratched into their dividers. There was no essential forever that couldn't be improved. This incorporated the inside dividers of their homes. Unsatisfied with simply painting their dividers, they some of the time made bogus perspectives to make the dream that they were eating outside. These bogus perspectives are known as optical illusion. From the start, the frescoes, artistic creations done straightforwardly onto new mortar, were enormous squares and spoken to engineering highlights like columns and entryways. Before long, the compositions developed into more unpredictable scenes. Maybe an entryway would open and an individual would peep out from behind it. Now and again a bogus window would open out onto a vista demonstrating fields or seashores. Maybe the most elevated accomplishment of Roman fresco painting can be found in a manor having a place with the Roman Empress Livia. The dividers of the lounge area of the estate are not shrouded in phony dividers and windows. Rather, the dividers are painted as though they are not there by any means. The frescoes show a nursery scene containing trees, natural product, winged creatures, and blossoms. Cycladich figures. Cycladich puppets are immediately conspicuous. Cut from white marble, they will in general show individuals with lengthened heads, pointed noses, and smooth lines. There is some proof that the clear heads may whenever have been painted, yet today they gaze out from exhibition hall cases with totally bland appearances. Notwithstanding being made over in any event 1,000 years 3300–2300 BC, the puppets show an astoundingly reliable style. The standing dolls are regularly female and are appeared with arms collapsed over their gut. In some cases the pubic hair of the puppets is damaged and bored into the marble. Another sort of Cycladich figure speaks to artists. Some of them play a huge harp that lays on their knee while another blows a two-fold line. The bending states of the puppets would not post a spot in an advanced workmanship organization, and they have been found over the Cycladich Islands, proposing they were only well-known in their own day as they are valued today. Engraved gems. Individuals have consistently adored pretty stones. When pearls were found, people were utilizing them to adorn their bodies. The pretty stones were not delightful enough all alone, be that as it may. From at any rate 5,000 years back, individuals were slicing into diamonds to make pictures. Also, these were not straightforward mathematical shapes. Some of them are as lifelike as anything made in stone can be. These pictures could show everything from legendary creatures to distinctive individuals. Roman emperors were enamored with having their faces cut into diamonds. However, these were not enormous articles. A large portion of the engraved diamonds from ancient times are sufficiently little to be worn in rings and would have worked as seals. The stones were engraved utilizing small bores and grating residue. The etchers probably had stunning visual perception in light of the fact that the detail in their work can be as little as a large portion of a millimeter. One pearl known as the Pylos combat agate figures out how to show two men battling in anatomically exact detail on a surface only 3 centimeters over. A fallen fighter likewise on the diamond is chiseled skillfully to the point that individual muscles can be seen. Mosh pottery. The Mosh public lived on the shoreline of Peru from around 100 to 700 AD. While their way of life is mostly secret today, they left a lot of earthenware that can be found in historical centers far and wide. In spite of the fact that occasionally the stoneware is shrouded away on account of the touchy idea of the scenes the ceramics portrays. Now and again Mosh ceramics is generally straightforward fit as a fiddle, yet with complex pictures painted on it. Different occasions the ceramics is etched into complex arrangements. These can show everything from creatures to divine beings to representations of individual people. Some of the time what the people are doing is uncovering from multiple points of view. More than 500 pots have been discovered that show people participating in sexual exercises. A portion of the pots show men with enormous penises, which are genuinely basic in workmanship from the Old World. However, there are likewise portrayals of ladies with expanding vaginas. Intriguingly, vaginal sexes never appeared between people in the ceramics, but centric sex was clearly more to the flavor of the Mosh potters. Fayum mummy portraits. Antiquated Egyptian craftsmanship isn't commonly known for its authenticity. Individuals were frequently appeared in profile and in peculiar distortions. Yet, Egyptian workmanship didn't stay static over the huge number of years that it was created. Whenever Egypt was fused into the Roman Empire, there was a blend of their various styles. Egyptian culture set an incredible accentuation on eternity and the recognition of the dead. While pharaohs were given gold and pearl-encrusted stone caskets, more unassuming individuals needed to manage with wooden face veils. These are known as Fayum mummy portraits and were made on wood or straightforwardly on the wrappings of the mummy. Not at all like the stylized pictures discovered somewhere else in Egyptian workmanship, to these representations are close to home. The shadows that play over the faces cause them to feel three-dimensional and alive. The pictures are additionally uncovering about how individuals in the Old World truly looked. Ordinarily, hairdos and makeup bite the dust with the individual, yet by taking a gander at these pictures uncovers how designs in Egypt changed throughout the long term. Roman glass portraits. Prior to photography, there was no simple method to catch an individual's similarity. The best a great many people could seek after was a depiction, and one that shows generally unflattering pieces of their picture. Lawful writings from Old Egypt will regularly name an individual and afterward depict them as with a scar on their brow, or, since quite a while ago, confronted, or uncovered in front. For some fortunate Romans anyway, their countenances have been hauntingly protected. In Roman gold glass pictures, the essences of specific Romans have endured. These pictures were made by setting a slight layer of gold onto glass and afterward pinpricking it and scratching to make a sensitive picture. The representations can catch the shade made by the state of a face and frequently incorporate the defects that make our faces one of a kind. The majority of the representations were made on the basis of bowls and cups to commend an extraordinary event. At the point when the individual in the picture passed on anyway, they were frequently broken out of the glass vessel and used to stamp their grave. Etruscan sarcophagi setting an artwork or picture in a grave is one method of ensuring that the presence of an individual isn't failed to remember, yet on the off chance that you need to truly catch how an individual looks. At that point, Etruscan stone caskets are likely the best approach. Etruscan burial places frequently appeared as an earthenware sculpture of the perished. They are quite often appeared as though they were leaning back on a banqueting lounge chair and appreciating an everlasting dining experience. The burial chambers didn't contain a body in light of the fact that the Etruscans incinerated their dead. Maybe that is the reason making an enduring landmark of the dead was so essential to them. The earthenware of the burial chamber was painted in splendid tones. Not at all like in some old social orders, it appears to be that ladies were as significant as men. Hitched couples frequently shared a burial chamber and were indicated next to each other in death. One stone coffin having a place with a lady called Sianti Hanunia Tuls Nasa was found to contain the lady's finished skull. Utilizing this skull, specialists had the option to reproduce her appearance throughout everyday life and demonstrated that the lady portrayed on top of the burial place truly was the lady covered in it. Ogu, probably the most peculiar earthenware ever constructed, more likely than not had a place with the Jomon time of Japan that kept going from 14,000 to 300 BC. Since Japan was so bountiful with food supplies at the time, the populace had the option to frame steady, stationary networks that created a lot of ceramics. Jomon earthenware was set apart by lines of string being squeezed into the mud. Just as embellished pots, they likewise made dolls called dogu. These human considers can be isolated along with a few kinds. Some of them look like horned owls, others have heart-molded heads, and others are goggle-eyed. It is these Google-looked-at dolls that have pulled in the most consideration. The dolls at times look as though they are wearing elaborate space suits, and their goggle eyes take after head protectors. They have been taken by some periphery scholars to be proof of old outsider guests. Actually, nobody can say without a doubt what these puppets were utilized for, yet they were the result of astounding old specialists and not outsiders. Hand stencils. Hands are among the most well-known finds in Stone Age craftsmanship. Rock faces from South America, to Europe, to Asia, to Australia are totally shrouded in the possession of our predecessors. These pictures of hands stretch back similar to 39,000 years. Here and there the craftsmen would utilize powdered shades and spot their hand straightforwardly in them prior to leaving an imprint on the stone face. All the more ordinarily, however, they would utilize a cylinder to blow watered-down color over the hand to leave a negative picture on the divider. From considering the hands, we realize that this kind of craftsmanship was made by men, ladies, and kids. We can even tell that individuals in the Stone Age were generally correct, given on the grounds that the majority of the hands portrayed were left hands. The specialists would have held the cylinder-utilized shower the shade in their predominant hand. What the motivation behind this workmanship was remains discussed. The impressions are frequently found in the most difficult to arrive at places in a cavern framework, while level areas of divider were left plain.